Well, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to a very special stream. The first stream back from my my 4th of July vacation, and it was one of those vacations where it felt like I was gone for a lot longer than I actually was, which I guess is a good thing because, man, I really just disconnected from everything, and I was out in the middle of a 10-acre property, my sister's place in Mena, Arkansas. And if you don't know Mena, Arkansas, it's a town of about 5,000 people, and it looks like a small town. And my sister, who is retired with her husband, they are one of the youngest people in the town. There's a lot of retirees and just a whole lot of nothing to do, which is exactly what we ended up doing. So now that I'm back and I'm revamping stream, I don't know, Heine, I don't know if I told you that I'm going to go make some changes to the stream. Obviously, I reached out to you about the guy that did your graphics, and so that's all part of the kind of revamp and the big push to become the premier content creator on all of the internet, so.
World domination.
Yeah, nothing less than complete world domination. But anyway, so this week, folks, this will be the only stream that we do, and we're glad you're here for it. So basically what we want to do today is have a discussion about our most deeply held personal beliefs, spiritual beliefs. And you all get to be here for it. It's going to be a little less interactive, so my chat, everybody here, Amy, maybe you, and everybody else can help remind them. I'm not going to be as interactive with you all over here with chat. This is going to be more like you're watching a podcast. I'm going to be talking to Sergeant Heine, also known as Jacob, which is pretty amazing because I'm Israel and he's Jacob. And so if you know the Bible, you know the significance of that. But anyway, we're going to be talking. And yeah, that's going to be it, folks. This will be a very, very special and I think very important conversation to have today. These days, everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's putting their beliefs out there, and I think that to a certain degree that's good, and to a certain degree there's some things out there that I think could probably benefit from with some different perspectives, and so now you'll know our perspectives on where we get our beliefs from and how we came to be this way and how we came to believe what we do, and yeah. And I think that's important. I think more conversations about this kind of thing are generally good for society. The more voices, the better. Out there talking about what they think. I'll be totally honest with you, folks. I'm not 100% completely back right now, so it's going to be really interesting. If anything,
I'll carry this. Guys, hop on my back. I got this, Izzy.
So, folks, let me introduce you. If you don't know him, Sergeant Heine is a full-time streamer. He's former Air Force, but we won't hold that against him. And he is a gun collector, gun nut, and you play a lot of military games, mostly kind of in the military vein on your stream. Yep. Why don't you give us kind of the lowdown of what you do professionally now?
Yeah, so I was Air Force for just under 10 years, retired from that, and I joined right out of high school. And depending on how in depth you want me to go on my history, but after that I got out and decided to try streaming as a hobby. And it turned into a full-time thing. So now I do this Wednesday through Sunday, 40 hours a week, full-time. Probably too much. I probably stream too much, to be honest. But this is my full-time job at the moment. And I am a gun collector and enthusiast, as you guys can see. So
be sure to sub to his channel. And you'll know exactly where all of that money is going when you sub.
You see, there's no hidden agenda where the money, you see where it goes. So.
Yeah, feeding the addiction. Yeah, I like that, man. So why don't we start this way, Jacob, if I may call you that.
Yes.
Why are we here today?
So we talked about this months ago, I think, is we wanted to have a stream where me and him got together and just talked about our faith and our beliefs. And we've been kind of dancing around because I am not the easiest person to pin down. I'm one of the persons that's just constantly just flying around, and I'm a disorganized mess. Izzy's been trying to track me down, and we finally were able to make our paths cross and get the stream going. So this has been a long time in the planning, to be honest. So yeah.
So by way of starting up, Jake, why don't you take me through, everybody's got. I mean, with Christianity, we call it a testimony, right? We call it it's kind of the story of your life.
Ooh.
Before you can give me kind of the Reader's Digest version of your witness, your life before faith, and then what happened, and then kind of like where you stand kind of right now, and take all the time you want, man. We got this is our stream. We get to do what we want. So take all the time you need and tell me your story, man.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question. And there's so many things like I want to say about this. Like I feel like I could go on just like an absolute hour rant about this because so many people struggle. Some people never choose a religion. They never find their way, right? A lot of people are like, I believe, but I don't want to read. And some people, for me, I grew up Catholic and it really pushed me away, to be honest. I was forced to go to church all the time, and Catholic for me, and again, if anybody's Catholic in here, please, I'm not trying to offend you or make you feel bad about your faith or religion. This is just my opinion and how I grew up and how it affected me. But growing up Catholic really pushed me away, and it did because it felt more of a chore, and I didn't understand why I was there and what I was doing there, right? Because when you practice your religion, you're there to build your relationship with God and find your way in this world, essentially. And for me, it was something that I was being forced to do that I didn't want to do. And when you're a child, the more you push a child to do something, basically more they don't want to do it, and they're forced, right? Like if you force them to do a sport or something like that, usually they push back and they're like, nah, this isn't for me. And that was kind of way with Catholic. I did catechism every Sunday, and then if you guys don't know what catechism is, it's kind of like after school extracurricular activities through the Catholic Church. That's I think we called it catechism, if I remember. But yeah, it just ended up pushing me away, and the Catholic sermons were very kind of dry and slow for a kid and somebody with me who's got ADHD. Can't keep my attention span for more than 5 seconds. It's very if you've ever gone to a Catholic church, it's very dry, very monotone, and versus like if you go to a Christian church and everyone's singing and jumping up and praising Jesus, there's a lot more energy. The Catholic church is much more vanilla and bland. So I struggled, and for my life it was constantly bouncing back and forth. And I've always believed in God. I always believed there was a higher power that existed out there. And I just kind of bounced back and forth and was just like, I always believe, but I never really put God as the priority of my life, right? And we'll get to that in a second. So I kind of just went back and forth. And I was one of those people that kind of treated God as an ATM machine. It was like when my life's going tough, then is when I decided to pray. Or when things weren't going my way, or when I was in pain or something like that, that's when I prayed, instead of, just keeping him in the forefront and part of my life all the time. And eventually, as I got older and matured, and I've been through quite a bit, not more than others, but enough where I struggled with a lot of stuff. Mental health issues with my seizures, family issues, stuff in the military. And I had one of the biggest questions that I think a lot of people suffer with. And that question is why? A lot of us are like, why did my loved one die? Why did this happen? And why did this happen? And why am I going through this? Why am I suffering? And I began to learn and understand that life is almost like a chessboard, and you are a player standing in your place, and you cannot see the board most of the time. You can see maybe 2 or 3 steps ahead of you, but you can't see all the other pieces. And it's a cosmic chessboard that you literally cannot see the scale and the complexity of everything that's going on around you. And you feel lost and hopeless, and you feel terrified because sometimes you feel like you're just hanging on for dear life with no control of your life. And through a lot of things, I got brought back to God, and we can dive into that a little bit later on because I feel like I'm ranting, but I'm gonna kind of just sum this up real quick so you can chime in, Izzy. But I learned, so basically I kind of just got thrown back into just reading the Bible. And what I did is I took time, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna take time, and I'm gonna make God number one in my life, make him the captain of my ship. I'm gonna row my butt off and just make him the captain and just see how my life changes, right? And it changed everything. I cannot begin to explain it, and this really breaks my heart too, because I know there might be some people in here who are on the fence or who don't believe, and it breaks my heart that some people won't find the absolute peace you get when you surrender your life and your future to God, and you just completely let go and you say, God, I'm going to work my butt off, but I know you have a plan for me, and I'm just going to put you first, and I'm going to walk by faith, and I'm no longer going to walk by fear. Because when you really dive into the word and you dive into putting God first, you're going to realize that worrying about tomorrow is just, it's pointless, and it's just going to kill you. It's going to eat you up, because there's things that you just cannot control. You got to let go of that stuff. And when I learned to do that, and I learned to put him first, it changed everything for me. It really did. And it brought me a sense of peace that you can't buy. I mean, you see a lot of millionaires out there who are suffering from mental health issues and all these issues because they have allegedly no problems, but they have a giant hole inside of them, and that hole is because they don't have God there. And that's something you can't buy, and that's something you can't steal. It's something you have to earn, and you really have to work at it. And once you get that, it's just an unbelievable amount of peace. So sorry, Izzy, I ranted. I really just put it all out there.
No, man, that's what we're here for, man. This is our forum, and we're here to be honest and authentic, because I think life's too short to be otherwise, man. If you allow me a few minutes, I'll kind of do the same thing, just so people have a little bit of context for me. But I grew up in a quote unquote Christian home out here in California. We go to church. And we grew up very Pentecostal, if you know that was that very kind of vibrant, you rah Jesus, people dancing in the aisles kind of stuff on Sundays. But I also grew up in a broken home. Like, my parents didn't get along, and they went through multiple divorces, and my life was very chaotic growing up. Didn't have a lot of stability, which has definitely affected me to this day. And just always kind of did the church thing more out of habit than anything else, because I'd always done it. And then really kind of when I came into my own faith was after I joined the Army, because I was taken out of my normal context and anything that was familiar. So I would go to church, but I also kind of started recognizing, like, I'm just kind of doing this because that's what I've always done, and I had been baptized. Like, my dad got me baptized when I was, I think, 11 or whatever. But I just did it because he wanted me to do it. You know how it is. Like, your parents tell you to do stuff and you do it. And if you don't have that understanding and that personal relationship, you know what I mean, that personal understanding, it's just kind of like whatever. So when I was in basic training, I remember saying to myself, I'm like, I want to get baptized because I want to do it. And so I remember one day after chapel, after services on a Sunday out at Fort Benning, I was like, I'm gonna get baptized, and it was in a little room with the chaplain and a couple other guys, and that was the first kind of step for me in terms of claiming my own faith. And went out to Fort Lewis, and it's so funny, man. We can get into this later, but like, I went to a church. If you don't know Mark Driscoll, he's kind of a known public figure in terms of being like a pastor that's out there that does like television appearances and stuff. And the good thing about going to his church, it was Mars Hill, Seattle at the time, is that he was real hardcore on like manhood and taking responsibility and discipling men and stuff. And I really gravitated to that. I don't think I had been really, even though I was in the military, I was in a structure, and so there were a lot of things that I felt like I wasn't forced to mature. I didn't have that I didn't have to go out and be a man and take the initiative and mature and stuff. And so going to that church was good for me, because he spoke very hard about how important it was to be a man. And so there was a little bit there. And then finally, I think I came out to LA, and that somewhere along the way, I was like, I'm a Christian. This is my own. I believe this because I believe the Bible is true, and I believe in God, and I believe in Jesus Christ because I've read or I've studied, and I've gone through life, and like, this is now mine. I am a Christian because I want to be, not because I've always just kind of done that thing kind of my whole life. And so somewhere along the way between 2010 and 2020, I had experiences and went to certain churches and all that kind of stuff. And now coming up to today, that's it. It's actually, it only gets more and more important to me the longer I live. Now I'm in my 40s, and it's like the main thing. It's the central, it's the core, it's the foundation of my life. And And yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at right now, you know. So somebody
It's awesome how you
yeah.
stumbled into it, though. I mean, that's incredible. There's not, I mean, I do hear people do it, but there's not too often people when they get older that they choose to go get baptized. There's way fewer people who choose to do that. So I imagine that's pretty brave of you, man, and I commend it. That's awesome.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks. Now let me ask you this, Sergeant. We are both people who are in the public space. Why is it important to you that we do this? Like, you and I could have a conversation on Discord by ourselves. Nobody will ever hear it, you know, and we could know what each other's beliefs are and get to know each other in that way. But we're doing this live on a stream, and I'm going to post this later on my YouTube channel so that other people can see it. Why is it important for you to make this kind of public declaration or to put it out there on the public space for people to know your beliefs and you know, like that?
Number one is it really breaks my heart, and this really makes me sad. Is if you watch Netflix or any TV show, anytime religion's brought up or a Christian is brought up or Catholic, they're always the crazy, wacky person in the TV show. And it's in society nowadays, it's a very knee-jerk reaction when somebody brings up religion or I'm a Christian or I believe Jesus is Lord. A lot of people, there's a knee-jerk reaction like, oh, you're one of those people. And there's people instantly get just turned off, and they're just like, they just immediately put up a wall, and it really breaks my heart. It makes me sad. And because just like anywhere else out there, whether it's a bad police officer or a fanatic from a religion, a lot of people like to categorize people because they had one bad experience or seen something on the news, and it makes me really sad. And I wish, kind of like mental health, that religion could be a little more destigmatized, because not everybody is here to cram it down your throat or anything like that. Some people are just trying to just guide people, because there's a lot of people out there that I see who are really, really struggling in life. And I was there, and they basically tried everything, but you know what? Hey, why don't you try giving yourself to God and see what happens? And I just really, really hope some people just, you know, because what do you got to lose? What do you got to lose? To just be like, you know what, for 1 month, I'm just gonna give myself to God and see what happens, and see what He can do for you. So I just, I hope maybe, possibly, you can inspire. If I get 10 people to turn away from me and think I'm a crackpot and walk away, well, so be it. But if I get one person to turn and be like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot, it's a win. So it's a win.
Yeah, man, that's really important today. This day and age, I used to be very closeted about my faith. I used to be afraid. You talk about instead of living by fear, that was my MO, man, for a long time, and I still struggle with it to a lesser degree, I hope. Today.
Same, bro.
But I used to think, like, the TLDR of my psyche was I just wanted people to like me. I didn't want to have any conflict. And I was afraid whenever any hint of conflict would ever come up in my life. And so, of course, I never talked about my faith, you know. Nowadays, as I've grown, hopefully, God has been sanctifying me and growing me up and maturing me. Not only is it's clear it's a responsibility and a privilege to be a representative of Christ out in the world just generally, but you and I are in a unique position in that we have chosen very public-facing careers, and there's a certain opportunity and a certain responsibility with that. We're called witnesses, representatives, whatever you want to, citizens, all that kind of stuff of Christ out in the public space. So to represent that well and represent that accurately and be ready for whatever the consequences are, it's a really exciting, unique, kind of scary proposition for us, because we could choose to go off and do any number of honorable, great professions that don't have as big of a public presence as we might have, given any kind of level of success that we have. But we chose this. And so I think this kind of discussion, and then whenever we see an opportunity in our own lives to talk about Christ or talk about our faith, it's I think it's important. I think it's helpful. I was telling you beforehand, I'm really interested in culture and cultural influence and what that means and where those influences come from, because you see society change, and all of a sudden these ideas that you didn't hear before, or these people you didn't know before, start coming to prominence, and now people are talking about this thing, and it kind of ebbs and flows kind of constantly throughout history. And we're in this moment. You and I were born for such a time as this. Like it says, we're here right now in the United States, and we're doing what we're doing, and in the midst of that, we're believers, we're Christians, if I could call you that. And so that's important to me. It's important it is not the heart of everything that I do. You and I, we're not, Ruslan KD, or we're not out there, these like kind of pop culture or they're Christians, but that's what they do. All they're about is talking about and apologetics, and that's kind of the public persona they have, the brand they have. That's not us, but we still are that. We still at the heart of who we are. That's important to us, and I never want to let it be said of me that I was afraid to talk about my faith or my beliefs, and it's very much a thing on my stream where we don't talk politics, but I talk about my personal beliefs. I talk about my Christian faith. And so other people are allowed to, in chat, if it ever comes up, they're allowed to say what they believe. And as long as they can do it in a respectful and civil manner, then that's okay. Yeah, I agree with you. You get any thoughts about that in terms of the consequences or the public space or all that kind of stuff, or influence, cultural influence?
Yeah, I struggle with it too, because again, it's just like, I don't want to push people away. I don't, but the thing is if you talk about what you believe and you're not trying to shove it down someone's throat, if they get offended and leave, that's their problem, right? That's their problem, because you wouldn't do the same to them, right? If somebody comes in and tells me they're Muslim or anything like that, that's fine. That's fine, right? As long as as long as we're being respectful and we have those boundaries and we're not, crossing lines of disrespect, then that's completely fine. And people need to get comfortable, because there's a lot of different people out there with different beliefs, different walks of life, different cultures. If somebody simply brings up what they believe in and you get upset and you need to walk away, that's your problem, and you need to do some soul searching and figure that out. But I do want to have a little bit more courage when it comes to talking about certain stuff, because I don't feel like I'm always the best person, nor am I I feel like I have the knowledge to talk about certain things when it comes to the Bible, because I would say I'm newer. I've read the New Testament, this is like my 4th or 5th time, but as far as the Old Testament goes, I'm very new on a lot of the old stuff. So I'm a student. I'm learning myself, and I just don't think I have the authority to go around and start preaching and trying to talk to people about stuff, because I might just do it a disservice or disjustice. So
Well, let me ask you. Let's get real for a second, Jacob. Let me ask you. We've been talking about it's important to get out there with what you believe and to not be afraid, and we want to be both be more bold and stuff. Why don't you give me what is it that you believe specifically? Because you and I both know there's not just Christianity out there. There aren't just Christians out there as a block, right? Within Christianity, there's a bunch of denominations, and you can slice it 10 different ways, and so why don't you and I both take a couple minutes, or however long you think, for posterity, for the public record, Jacob, what do you believe? What are you gonna stand on, and what are you never gonna back down on in terms of your faith? Like, how do you define yourself?
Jesus is Lord. Jesus is the Son of God. And anybody, so I don't know, I know there's so many different denominations, but like, as long as that you believe that he died for us, was resurrected 3 days later for us, we're on the same boat. I know there's a lot of different ways people practice that and all that stuff, but I'm right there, that that's the tip of the mountain, as you would say, or the iceberg, and then the rest. So
yeah, man, I appreciate that. It's really important. If you ever needed a clip somewhere down the line of me saying what I believe, then you can use this one. Now, Jesus is Lord. He is the Son of God, and he is God. He is the God-man. The Bible is the inspired, inerrant, authoritative Word of God. If we want to know who God is, you read the Bible, the Christian Bible, right? I recommend the English Standard Version or the Legacy Standard Bible from Grace Community Church out of California. That is, I am a Christian, and I believe that, you know, he died and rose on the third day for our sins, that we are all born into sin, and that through belief in Jesus Christ, you can have eternal life. And it's really interesting that, you know, it's really true what you say, man. And this is one thing that I believe in terms of like grace, you know, God's undeserved favor, his ability, his undeserved, freely given ability to believe or to have the strength to live like him. That grace is really needed in our lives, because I was never, I've gone through some incidents in my life recently. I'm thinking of one in 2020 where I never knew there was so much division within specifically Christianity, Christendom, we can call it, like all over the world. You know that there's different denominations, and you hear about different beliefs, but especially today with the internet and how freely information is moving about, man, I've been so challenged, and there have been times when I've really been uncertain about myself and my faith. I'm like, I've been believing this thing, this certain aspect, for most of my life, and now I'm hearing from over here pretty good arguments for, like, that's not how it is, you know. And so I think it's really, really important. Well, I guess there's one thing. If you are a Christian, I would say it's really important. You got to be reading and studying the Bible on your own. You can't just like go to church and listen to a sermon and then live your life the rest of the week. You got to be in that thing, and you got to be in that thing a lot, because there's a lot of influences out there. A lot of social media, a lot of people, a lot of talking heads. And man, you just get, even if you don't realize it, you're being subtly influenced by that stuff as you feed on it. You know what I mean? What do you think about that?
And what breaks my heart is that there's a lot of gotchas when it comes to the Bible. And if people just actually did a little bit of research and looked into it, you would see that those gotchas aren't true. And I don't want to get into some of them because it kind of goes down a political route, and I avoid that. But one of the gotchas is that everyone says that, oh, it's been rewritten 5,000 times, and that the current Bible that we have now is not the same one, and that's just simply not true. I mean, if you like, so you can go back and do your research where it came from. It's just difference in translations, and they're very subtle differences. They're not like a massive difference that completely change it. They're just subtle ones, and you can look at which ones are which. It makes me sad. And those gotchas is the difference between somebody being like, you know what, I might give this a try. You know, oh, it's all fake, so I'm not going to read it anyways. And that really breaks my heart, because like I said, it's depending on who you are, okay, in your life. The truth is that we all live and we all die. And depending on what happens when you close your eyes for the last time is very important. Right? Some people believe that you're a computer, you're going to close your eyes and that's going to be it. Okay. If that's what you believe in, then that's what you believe in. But if you're wrong, well, that's where so it's like where you want to hinge your eternity on, right? So it's up to you. It's up to you.
You know, it's
Sorry,
funny.
I could go off on another tangent.
No,
Sorry.
absolutely. No, let me catch on something you said, because in the public space now, I don't know if you've been tracking this, but there have been you know, to whatever degree or another, there have been some celebrities that have been kind of like publicly declaring like, hey, I'm a Christian, or I'm gonna get baptized. I was thinking of Russell Brand more recently, Kat Von D. There was a popular what's her name? She's got the red Nala Fitness. You know, she used to be all into that. OnlyFans life, and she was made a ton of money, and then more recently she's been like, listen, I'm done with all that, I'm a Christian now, and I'm gonna move to North Carolina, you know. And so I've heard conversations, even James Lindsay, he was having a conversation with Jordan Peterson recently, and they were talking about, neither of them are Christians. I know Jordan Peterson has sent a lot of stuff where he's totally fascinated, and he's done courses on the Bible. I don't believe I've ever heard like a profession of faith that would lead me to believe that he's actually a Christian, but certainly he's fascinated and intrigued and attracted to that. But they were talking about there is, like, when you get down to the baseline of like what life is all about, what's really important, what matters, where discussions about beliefs or hardline meaningful stuff, it always kind of seems to come into the religious realm, the spiritual realm, I guess maybe I could say more broadly. And that's really interesting. That's really interesting that these kinds of conversations are happening in the public space, because I think we are in this day and age. Now I'm getting to this is kind of like my broad perspective on culture today. We're suffering from a severe lack of meaning in people's lives. We need, I think, humanity, we're wired to have a sense of meaning and a sense of purpose, a transcendent sense of purpose, right? That there's not just kind of like our baseline material needs. I got to have food, I got to have shelter, that kind of stuff. That's like baseline stuff. We aren't even, I don't think, totally fulfilled by those things when we have them. And you mentioned like wealthy people, man, they seem to have it all, and yet they're having these problems. I think all of us, humanity, are united in that we need to have a sense of transcendent meaning and purpose. And I think we're suffering from a severe lack of that, which I think might explain why, things like mental illness is up. People seem to be getting angrier, and groups on every side are starting to gain followers and people, because these groups, however severely weird, messed up, perverted they are, they give people a sense of meaning, in their lives. And I think that I would say that sense of meaning, I think you alluded to it earlier, you mentioned it earlier, that sense of meaning is from the fact that we are born with this sense of God, and somewhere along the way something tries to take the place of that, and we kind of miss out on the actual God, and that's I know that's a strong statement. I know that I think that's one of the things that makes Christianity specifically so offensive to people, is saying, hey, this is what you're looking for, this is the answer. And not only is this the answer, but all other answers are wrong. There's an exclusivity claim that Christ makes. He said, I am the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father except by me.
My favorite line.
Yeah.
Favorite verse.
Yeah. What do you think about what I just said, meaning in society and people and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, there's so much I want to touch up on that, but that last part, I should have been written it down. What was the very last thing you said? It was right before you said the way, the truth, the life. Sorry, I was
suffering for the severe lack of meaning in people's lives. We need to. I think we're all born with a sense of God, a sense of that transcendent meaning. Ben, we might have it, but then people and groups, they come along the way and they grab it.
So, again, I know a lot of people's knee-jerk reactions, and I'm sure everybody in here has read a couple verses of the Bible, and some of it, yeah, I get you reading, you're like, well, what does that mean? It's so confusing. But I'm just say right now, like if you started with the New Testament, right, and you read through it, and you got all the way to John, finished that with the 4 Gospels, right? In there, if you just listen to everything that was in there, it's only going to tell you how to be a good person. That is it. Not going to lead you astray. You're not going to turn into some crazy, religious person going out and doing all these crazy things. It is literally just how to be a wonderful person and learning how to love. That's it. That's pretty much what Jesus is teaching, how to live a sin-free life and how to love and take care of people. And that is it. And some people forget that it's just that simple. And I think a lot of people also too, and it explains this in the New Testament, is when you read it, it starts to shine a light on all the things that you are not doing right, and a lot of the things that you're it just kind of take you away from being a good person, right? And there's a lot of little things like how we don't realize how many times per day that we lie. Just little things, just little lies here and there, and just like little things in your life that they just start to add up, and it's pretty crazy. And I think a lot of people, when they see that, it's just shining a light on your own darkness, and it kind of pushes you back. You're like, wow, I don't know if I'm ready for this, but that's, I think, is when you need it the most. But when you were saying with all the different actors turning and getting baptized, I don't know how I feel about that, because some of the stuff, I get a little fringe to get my tinfoil hat. Some of those guys out there, I don't know if they got different if there's a spin on it or if there's a reason why they're doing that. So I always look at their fruit, right? That's how we judge it. How we judge the tree is by its fruit. And if they're truly living the life and living by the word, then we're going to see the fruits on it. But if they're just talking and, then it's different. Because I've seen a lot of people claimed that they're Christian, and you look at their fruits and you're like, did you actually read at all? Because I don't really see anything. So I don't know. I don't know. I guess we'll judge by their fruits, and we'll know for sure if they are or not. So.
That's fair, man. That's the Book of James. If anybody's interested, you want to know tests of genuine faith. That's what James was all about, man. He was talking to Christians. He was saying, hey, listen, the tested genuineness of your faith is what this life is all about. You want to know if you're actually a Christian. It's going to test your faith. Let me just I would like to comment. You talked about, if you read the 4 Gospels, you would know how to love. I think more specifically, you would understand that, like, Jesus came to live a life that none of us could ever live. He came to his own people, right? The Jewish people, the Jewish nation was meant to be a reflection to the world and a blessing to the world from God. He chose those people because he wanted to. He made those people, and they got away from him for a long time, pretty severely, to the point where they didn't even recognize him when he showed up. And it's, how to live a good life, how to love. Good and love, those need definitions. And if you need definitions for those, Jesus is the one who defines that. He defines what is good.
Humble too. Humble.
Right.
Like being humble is one of the biggest things he constantly hits on with his disciples is being humble and not putting yourself above others. So
he lived the perfect self-sacrificial life, which is what gave him the right to be that sacrifice. And God put the punishment that was meant for us on him. And because he was perfect and lived that sinless life, he was able to rise again on the 3rd day, paying the price, and then also coming back. And then that's how anyone who believes on him will get that gift of salvation, that gift of eternal life, that gift of righteousness. So it's let me ask you about this. Speaking about that specifically, there are a lot of gurus out there, a lot of live a good life gurus, live your best life gurus. What do you think about that in terms of, like, compared to what Christ preached and what people preach these days? I feel like it's a lot of if you got to live a good life, and it ends up being kind of like you got to live for yourself. You got to become a better person. You got to get a better career. You got to live that healthy. You got to eat these kinds of things. And ultimately, it's all just kind of like this. It's all just kind of for the self. And I feel like that's a big contrast with
it is
Christ, because everything he did for the glory of God, right? He didn't do it for himself. And I'm just kind of on that train of thought. Yeah. Talk about that.
You can't serve two masters. So basically what it describes in the gospel, I forgot which one that was. That's not Luke, is it? Is it Mark? I don't remember.
We're talking about God and mammon, God and money. He's talking about
God. Yep. So, but you can kind of attribute that money to anything else that you put first before God. So you can't serve two masters, meaning you need to put God first in your life, put him first, right? And if you put him at the front, like I said, he'll be the captain of your ship. You just got to row. And if you start putting things above that, it's gonna. I'm not gonna say it's gonna ruin your relationship, but it's gonna diminish it, right? Because you're not having that connection and putting him first in your life. I don't know. Is there any way you want to elaborate on that at all, Izzy? Or
I was looking at my chat, man. Say that one more time. I kind of got lost for a second.
Yeah, just putting God first and not putting anything else before or above him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that is the call. That's the mandate of the Christian life. So if anybody out there is Christian, it is our privilege as human beings generally to self-reflect, right? We have this thing that I don't think animals do. Nothing, no other species on this planet besides human. We have this idea of reflecting and looking within ourselves. And for Christians specifically, it is our privilege and our responsibility to reflect on our motives. That's something I've been thinking a lot about more recently as I've been trying to revamp my content and really try to make a big push to create my own content that's authentic to me. I'm always questioning, like, God, why am I really doing this? Am I ultimately doing this because so I can feel good about myself, so I can feel like I've accomplished something? Or is there something in it where my heart, no matter what the outcome of the work, my heart will be right before you, because ultimately I didn't want this to become my God, because I think we all have a God. We all have a God. I don't care who you are or what you believe. You have a God. Most of our gods is ourselves. For most people, their God is themselves. Or it's,
I battle the same thing, man. So I completely get what you're talking about here.
Yeah. So the life of a Christian is a life of submission, continual submission, and striving for obedience to God. And that's why I think I had never studied the Bible. I don't know if about you, but I'd never studied the Bible, really. I've read the Bible, and I've read large sections of the Bible. I think I've read all of the Bible at some point or another. All of it's gotten read, even the minor prophets toward the end of the Old Testament. But right now, every morning or every other morning, I got a biblical doctrine book, that I have, and it has all the systematic theology and all the ologies. It's got the Christology and the pneumatology and the soteriology and the eschatology, all these kind of biblical systematic theology categories. That's what I'm doing right now, because I feel like the Bible is one of those books where the deeper you go, the more you realize how deep it actually goes. Like, it could never be totally exhausted. I think the Bible is probably one of the most studied and thought about and debated books in the history of mankind, and we're still doing it. Yep. And I really respect anybody out there. If you're not a Christian, I really respect anybody that has honest questions and sincere desire to know about what the Bible actually says, because I think that the answers are out there for you. And I think they're very satisfying. They may not be what you expect, but I truly believe that the Bible as we have it today has the answers that you're looking for if you really want to see them. If you just, a lot of times I think in life, and I get drawn into this, I think we argue because we want to feel good. We want to mic drop, and we want to go after somebody, and we want to play gotcha for anything, because we want to feel that kind of, oh yeah, I really got him, like I really stuck it to him, and the internet, X and YouTube and all these social media sites, they don't really help a lot, because you end up separating off into camps, and you end up kind of listening to the people that you like and you listen to, and then you forget how to have discernment and really how to listen to somebody, where they're coming from and what they actually believe, and to know that just because you're listening doesn't mean you automatically agree with what they're saying. You're just listening, and I think that that's something that that's been lost a little bit to a great degree, I think, in our society today. And I think that would be like something that I would like to help bring back, a little bit in our society today. So let me ask you, Sergeant Heine, what do you hope to get out of, like, this is just a conversation that we're having ultimately, because there's something that drove you to want to have this conversation. What do you hope to get out of this, and then out of kind of, I don't know, the future of your career in terms of your beliefs and content and influence? It's kind of a vague question, but I don't know. What do you think? What do you want out of this and other things, in the future?
That whole section where you were talking, man, there were so many things I wanted to hit on there. You were bringing up some really good points, but we can circle back.
You interrupt me. You just interrupt me okay, as it's starting now.
You brought up some really good points, though, like some really good things. I was like, man, I just wanted to kind of chime in with you. But for this part, what did I hope to get out of this? Like I said, if there's somebody in here that's literally sitting here and they're listening to my voice right now, and you're like, I am going through a really tough time right now, right? And you're going to therapy, you're on medication, and you're doing this or you're doing that, or if all the stars are aligned and you're still going through a tough time, and the thing is you don't have God in your life, give it a shot. Give it a shot. I'm not telling you to open up the Bible and be a scholar or anything like that, but just give it a shot. Just what is it going to hurt? Like, what is that going to hurt you? Is it going to ruin your life? No, it's not. Just give it a shot and see what happens. And I'm not just saying, like a half-hearted, like genuinely just give it a shot. And think it's something's gonna happen. It'll work out because, like I said, when I did it, and everybody else I've talked to, if you actually genuinely give your heart over and be like, look, God, I'm giving it all to you. I've never had anybody say, oh, it didn't work, I'm done. Like it's a life-changing thing. It will work. It's amazing. It's incredible. And if I can inspire, if I just turned off 10 people and they're like, nope, not gonna do it, I'd rather just believe in nothing. That's fine. You do you, boo boo. But if I got one person to be like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot. Give it a shot. Good. I won. Success. So that's all I wanted. If I can just get one person.
Yeah. I hope at the end of all this that I have been sincere in my motives and honest and pure in my motives in terms of really wanting to live a life that honored God and honored Christ and was obedient to him in the broad spectrum of things. If I worked hard and I used all the tools that God gave me, from my intellect to my emotions to the practical skills that he's given me, the resources of people and opportunities that he's provided to me. If I've worked hard, then I hope that will be what I want and what I will be ultimately satisfied by, because this stuff, when it comes to social media or when it comes to public facing careers, it can end tomorrow. You know what I mean? Something happens.
If that's his will.
Yeah. And I want to be okay with that. As much as I would love to have created something that is uniquely my own and that came from me and that I pushed forward on, that I was the lead on, the captain on, man, I just hope at the end of it my motive is right.
The two hardest things to hear is not my will and not the right time. So surrendering, like I said, going back to what you're saying about your career and all that stuff, are you doing it for you or are you doing it for God? That's tough, right? And that's something I battle as well. But the thing is, it says in the new gospel, God, when your child asks for a toy, do you tell him, no, I'm not going to give you that. Here's a rock instead. No, God loves you. You're his children. He wants you to succeed. He wants you to live a wonderful, happy life, and amazing and full of things. But sometimes what you want is not what's best for you, one, because a lot of us are like, sorry, God, I really want to win the lottery tomorrow. I want $1 million fall in my lap, and this and this and this and yada yada yada. Some of those things, one, aren't good for you, not his will, and it's just not right. What he wants for you is always going to be best, and to just let go and just be like, all right, God has a plan for me. I'm going to put him first, and I'm going to work my butt off on this topic right here. I'm going to do this and do this and this. If it doesn't work out, then I wasn't meant to do it anyways. On to the next. And if you just keep having faith, another door will open up, another path will reveal. I'm sure I've had so many instances in my life. We could do a part 2 about this, where like God has intervened in my life. It's not just hoping and praying and things just happen. Like there's moments where he clearly intervened and things happened that shouldn't have happened, and it just all worked out. And I don't believe in coincidences, and I don't believe in chance. So I believe it all works out, and he puts people in your path and opens doors for you. You gotta do the legwork, and you gotta have faith. So I don't think what you're doing is for yourself, Izzy. Like I said, if you keep putting him first and you keep working your butt off, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then that's not his will for you, and he's got something better planned.
I appreciate it, Jacob. I appreciate this conversation. You kind of were calling out to people, and I think I'll do a little bit of that too. I appreciate every single one of you that has ever come into a stream or pressed the like button or commented on anything that I've ever done, who's followed me for a day or since the very first time one of my YouTube videos came out. I wouldn't be sincere in saying that I appreciate you or love you if at the heart of it wasn't a desire for you to know Christ. For you to know the real God, the one true God, who is the Father of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I want you to know him. And
when you feel that love, it'll change you forever, I promise.
Yeah. And that's my sincere desire for you. Now, I'm not going to lead with that every stream, but if I never said it, I wouldn't be a real Christian. I wouldn't be obeying God. And I wouldn't be telling you that the one thing that I sincerely think that you need to know. And we can have fun. We can play video games, and you can enjoy my content, and we can have fun interactions. And I hope that I bring a little bit of joy and happiness to your day with what I do, whether it's streaming or YouTube content, because that's a wonderful double win, because it brings me joy to do so. But at the end of the day, my heart is that you know the one true God, Jesus Christ. And that's it. So what do you say, Jacob? You want to wrap this up and do it again sometime? How are you feeling?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that was awesome. Like I think next time I'm gonna bring a notepad and I can kind of catch your thoughts as they're going by, and then I can readdress those, because there was a lot of good topics. And again, it's just like the goal here was to inspire anybody. I know some people here just don't care, or they're not interested, but there's going to be some point in your life where you are going to pray. Everybody does it. You're going to look up and be like, you know what, I could really use you right now. So I just wish people would choose to live a life with God, because it is just an incredible peace and love that you just can't buy, and it's incredible. I mean, I got nothing. It's not like I'm getting paid to tell you this, and I don't earn anything from telling you this. This is not somebody who paid me to tell you this. I'm telling you this because it worked for me, and it's gave me a sense of peace and a sense of love that I just can't explain, and until you feel it for yourself, and it's incredible. So like I said, I'm not just telling this because I got some agenda. It's just I want other people to feel what I felt, and the light it's brought to my life, and the way it's changed how I talk to people and treat people. The way I've been taught patience, and just so many incredible things. I mean, when you dive into the new gospel and stuff like that, and you read it, there's going to be certain verses you get to, we're going to be like, was this written for me? Like, it literally is going to be like, it's like God's going to be like, yeah, that right there, yeah, that's for you. I'm sure you've had that moment, Izzy, where you're like, oh man, that feels too close, like, oh, and it's truly amazing. So.
Well, Jake, thanks for joining me today for this very special stream. All of you, whether you believe what we believe or not, I really appreciate all of you being here. I really do. And it's okay if we have different beliefs. I think one of the things that we can help society in is that we can gather in common spaces, even knowing that we have some fundamental differences in our baseline principles and beliefs. So thanks to all of you. If you love this, good. If you were uncomfortable, that's also okay. Okay too, And thank you.
So love you.
By the way, to all of Sergeant Heine's peeps that came in and joined us on this stream today. I'm going to repost this on My Happy Self on YouTube. So if you missed it today, or if somebody asks about it, go send them over to go to YouTube and check out My Happy Self. That's where I'll post. I'll try to get up there in the next couple days. So. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. I will be posting my schedule around town. And as always, if you want to hang out with Sergeant Heine, as I'm sure many of you do, go ahead and check out his stream as well. You'll be streaming tomorrow, right?
I will be streaming tomorrow, correct.
All right, man. All right. Well, then you can catch him tomorrow, and I'll post my schedule soon. So thanks so much, everybody. We will talk to you soon.